Hi, this is a Etesia Pro 50R Gearbox repair. As you can see, the drive isn't working, won't propel the motor. Okay, so you want to remove the blade, disconnecting the spark plug first for safety, and then the belt cover. So the gearbox mounts need to be removed. These are like square-headed bolts. They might get stuck in the spin in the chassis, so hold on to them with vice grips or something. As you can see, this bolt has to be angle ground off, but the replacements are quite easy to get hold of. Once the axle bolts have been taken out, you need to remove the bolt that holds in the gearbox just above it, as you can see where it's undone. Then the whole gearbox should be loose. So now we want to untension the bolt. So if you remove that tensioner bolt, it's just a nut. It should allow you to pull the belt off the tensioners, which will then allow you to slip the gearbox out. Okay, now I'm taking the wheel off so that I can get to the height adjustment bar, which has a nut holding it on, but it's difficult to get at. You can slightly bend the cover without the wheel. Now you just use a pair of pliers and undo the cable, take the spring out, and then it should pull out like shown, and you should be able to take the whole gearbox out of the motor. So now the gearbox is out of the mirror, you need to take the wheels off. A small torque bit for the wheel cap, and then just undo the wheel, 10mm bolt. So now on the top of the gearbox, you take the circlip off, and this whole pulley assembly should lift off. The bottom pulley was a bit stuck on, but if you sort of prise it off, it came off without too much difficulty. And I'm just removing the arm that actuates the gearbox. Then I undo all the bolts, the Torx bolts holding the gearbox together. There's those on the top and then one at the bottom holding on that black cover. I'm just giving it a quick clean so nothing falls in the gearbox once I split the case. Doing now, and as you can see, there's no oil in the gearbox, so it's obviously leaked in the past, which might be why there isn't, while the drive's not working. So here the pin that is holding on the clutch assembly to the axle is removed, and these two bolts are being undone just to allow you to slide the axle covers off the axle. These Allen key bolts were really hard to get off, so we ended up having to drill them off. We only need to take one off, but they round off very easily. So that's been drilled out and removed. Again, easy to find replacements, not too expensive. You take the freewheel off, and there's another pin that the freewheel sits in, so that needs to be taken off. Now you should just be able to remove the axle, just tap with a hammer or a mallet and it should come out. Then the whole axle assembly can slide out of the gearbox, and then the clutch should be left in. So that's the whole clutch assembly. There's a roller bearing that just flew out, and the clutch packs are all inside of the big gear as shown. If you just take it all apart and be careful not to lose anything. So what we're doing here is we are cleaning everything as shown. It's all clean and laid out. So the shiny, there's no, where is shininess, but there's no lip, so the actual material's not being worn. So we've decided just to sand it down so they're not super shiny, and it will allow, it saves having to replace the clutch, which you can do if you decide, but that is personal choice. We thought it wasn't worth replacing it, and this was a successful repair. This is the bolt we have to drill out, just being removed. That was removed quite easily. And then this is replacing the O-rings that the axles sit on. Also, it's not shown in the video, but the gasket on top of the gearbox should be replaced between the two casings. So yeah, these just pop out with a screwdriver, and then we just press them back in with a socket. It's quite easy to remove them and reinstall them. Make sure they're going in square when you reinstall them. So this should be the back of the bearing first, not the washer. Okay, so this is the reassembly of the clutch. It's just a reversal of disassembly, but it's a big washer. Then it'll be spring, inner plate, outer plate, spring, inner plate, outer plate. Just keep repeating that until you get to the top. As you can see, the clutch is all actuating properly. Then you pop the gear back on top, which holds it all together. If you're struggling putting the clutch back together, the Etesia provide full parts diagrams. So yeah, that shouldn't be a washer first. It should start off with the roller bearing and then the washer. So this is the final assembly. Put another bearing on top, so it's sandwiched between the two bearings. And then that's the clutch assembly reassembled. So this can just pop back into the gearbox, and then you will thread the axle through. You must make sure the plate that actuates the clutch is sat in a groove inside the gearbox as shown, and that it's all actuating properly. Then the axle is slid back into the gearbox. It shouldn't be too difficult to push in. Then the pin goes back that was taken out is installed, so the clutch assembly is all attached properly. So we're now adding SAE 90 oil. It's 60 millilitres. You can buy it through Etesia themselves, or it's cheaper just to get a larger bottle, but if you get the clutch kit, that's about £80. That comes with the oil, so you wouldn't need to buy any. Here we're just making sure the lever is put into the groove properly, so the plate's moved when the lever's moved, and it's just a case of reassembling the gearbox. So here you've got to make sure that the spring is seated properly as shown in the video, otherwise the lever won't actuate properly, so it's got to sort of hook round that as shown, and then just check that it's working properly, moving freely, and springing back into position as shown. Then the whole pulley assembly is slid back onto the shaft, and then when putting the circlip back on, it's helpful to get someone else to hold down the black plastic thing if possible, otherwise you'll struggle to put the circlip on. So now the freewheel's being put back on. First the pin goes in that the freewheel sits on, and the freewheel's slid over the top of the axle. So we've got a new bolt to install. As I said, there's parts diagrams, and parts are quite easy and cheap to get hold of for these mowers, so it's not too much of a disaster if something has to be replaced. So I'd pop one wheel back on, but not the side where the height adjustment bar needs to be put back on. Okay, so now the gearbox needs to go back in the mower, so the first job is to reattach the cable, and then it should all be slid back in. Make sure the plastic axle holders are in and at the correct orientation, otherwise you'll struggle to put these axle mounts on. And yeah, make sure the nut is put on that holds the top of the gearbox bolt, goes through the gearbox. Then these need to go on with the springs facing downwards, sort of, and then again the square headed bolts go back in. So yeah, here you can see slightly better if my head's not in the way, about the black plastic thing has to be facing upwards, otherwise the white spring thing won't hold it properly. Unfortunately, having to hold them with vice grips again, which can be a bit of a pain because they're spinning in the soft aluminium chassis. So the quick tip while I'm doing these up is there's a cover at the back. You undo the one little Torx bolt, and as shown you can pop the belt back on from the back. That makes it much easier. So then we need to check the belt is all lined up properly, and then you want to make sure the tension is tight and pop that, checking the tension is back tight, and pop the little catcher on to make sure the belt doesn't come off. Here we're just reattaching the height adjustment bar. It might be easier to undo the height adjustment bar at the front or pop the spring off just to give you a bit more wiggle room, and then pop them back on once it's attached. So yeah, here I'm just showing reattaching that spring because I did pop it off, so you just use a cable and just pull it back on. This might make it more helpful if you can't line it up at the back. If you can, then there's no point taking it off, but I was struggling. So as we're getting towards the end of this repair, hopefully it's been a useful video. It's quite a complex repair, but it's a lot cheaper than buying a new mower, so these are very expensive. And there will be a full restoration of this mower. As you can see, it's all being cleaned and resprayed, but that will be on the channel later on. So there we go, popping the back wheel on. Then the blade and the cover should be popped back on. So as you can see, the drive cover and the belt are being installed. Then that's the repair finished. Hopefully it's all working after that. Ours worked perfectly fine, the drive was strong. So thank you for watching, hope you found it useful, and leave a comment and subscribe. As you can see, drive's strong, hopefully you can tell in the video. Thank you for watching.